The road to new beginning has ended basically for all of us on NJPW World. We're headed for Osaka on Tuesday. There are a couple more shows in between, but those aren't going to be televised. They're just house shows. So we've essentially seen the go home storylines. And there were a couple of interesting things from the Korakuen Hall show. We're going to talk about those, and then we're going to do our full-on preview for the New Beginning in Osaka, one of the more anticipated versions of New Beginning we've seen in a while, according to ticket sales. Can the Samurai Dad bring it home? We're going to go over it with Jeremy Finestone. I'm Stephen Conway. This is Speaking of Strong Style. Welcome to Speaking of Strong Style, where we discuss the news, issues, and events surrounding New Japan Pro Wrestling. And Jeremy, we got to see a couple of Korakuen shows this week, and that was all that was on. That was all that was on World. But I thought that each one had a couple of matches that were pretty good, and they did a couple little small angles there. So overall, I didn't feel like I'd wasted my time. It was worth watching, and we'll get into those two title matches here in a bit.
Those main events were great, actually. I thought the ALP and Jeff Cobb main event and the especially the El Desperado and Kosei Fujita main event on the 4th, man, those were some fantastic matches. Really just delivered in Korakuen Hall, and I thought that they elevated the shows as a whole on the strength of those main events.
Yeah, and there were a couple of lower card matches, almost all. It was the semi-main event and the main event were pretty good. The first half of the card definitely in first gear, although they did some stuff with the Young Lions that was interesting. And poor Yasuda, that guy cannot catch a break. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. But the early part of the cards were pretty standard fare, I thought. And then once you kind of got past Naito and Hiromu and got into the
Not in Taichi, especially. Yeah, like that area.
And then got into the War Dogs against the other members of LIJ, like Shingo and Tsuji. There was a little extra energy in those. And I thought that was pretty decent stuff there. So we have War Hero with us. We have Colin. I'm glad you guys are here. I'm very happy. I just came off watching my Liverpool take out Spurs from a semifinal. So I'm in a good mood here. Yeah, exactly. I know sports ball. I mean, Jared, nothing likes nothing.
I
Jeremy
loves a video game earlier this morning, and I was really proud of myself for that one.
Well done.
Thank you.
I talk about that the last video game system I actually played came with Mario Brothers and Duck Hunt. That was it's been that long. It has been that long for me.
Right? I ended up with a PS5 out of Christmas, and I've just been whittling through some games, and I've had more time since there hasn't been a whole lot of New Japan airing on the broadcast wave, nor a whole lot of drama with New Japan. They're really quiet.
Well, the one thing I saw, and we can do some supposing while we're at it right here, was that the whole controversy that David Finlay's contract expired at the end of January, and he quickly followed Triple H on social medias, which I thought was pretty funny right there. Bottom line is we haven't heard a peep really from anybody about anything on that. So I guess we're just waiting to see. But again, New Japan kind of covered themselves. They had him drop the global title to Tsuji. He beat Brody King, but that's not a regular New Japan guy at Wrestle Dynasty. So if they aren't able to work out a deal with him, he has kind of been exited out effectively. I hope that's not the case. I would like to see Finlay back, but there's no word that he isn't either. So I guess we're just waiting.
In my mind, this is all storyline. This is Finlay saying, I'm negotiating for a WWE title shot, but if that doesn't work out, maybe I'll go for the IWGP title instead. And just kind of, I'll get in touch with Triple. Just kind of Finlay being Finlay. I laughed when I saw that, and I was just like, bait. This is bait right here.
It certainly felt that way, yes. It certainly felt that way. But a lot less drama than usual this time of year.
Yeah, I just pretty noteworthy. Like, haven't heard anything about Kevin Knight. Haven't heard anything about, Finlay other than, like, the rumors. Seems like Gabe Kidd sticking around. He's doing those interviews with New Japan and really just going hard on the dialogue there. Great interview on New Japan 1972 if you want to check out the re-improved and not new website that had returned there rather than the medium.com monstrosity that was there. So good job, tech workers of New Japan. So other than that, it's just like we had really two great shows. Like those main events were fucking awesome.
There were two good shows, and then it was house shows throughout the week, but all preview tag stuff and nothing of any real consequence on them. And this week we're going to get. There are two more shows, one in Nagano, one in Nagano or Kyoto. I believe that is correct. I'm going to double check that. I know about Kyoto on Sunday. I think Nagano on Friday.
I'll take a look for you while you're doing that, man.
Yeah, and well, the point, Nagano on Friday. But neither of those are on World. They're not going to be up on video on demand. They're just going to be house shows. So you can Stardom will have a busy weekend coming up, but that's about it from Bushiroad. It's going to be mostly Stardom, and then on Tuesday, which is an awkward kind of day for it, isn't it? But we'll have New Beginning, and of course we're going to be doing our show here at our normal time on Tuesday for Instant Reaction. As much as they've loaded up this card, Jeremy and I both felt it was worth.
Why wait 2 days? Just do it.
Yeah, let's talk about this one because I have a feeling it's going to be some important
stuff.
There'll
be something to talk about. It'll a fresh hot takes conversation. I think people will get off from watching the show and maybe want to have a conversation dialogue about it here. So. Yeah, let's do it on Tuesday next week.
There you go. So talk about these Korakuen shows then. Stephen Vargas, good to see you here. You ready to go?
Yes, sir. Follow your lead.
All right. So on Monday the 3rd, they started off at Korakuen Hall with a pretty small crowd. It was a weekday. It was not a long weekend in Japan, so it's not like people were off. And 928 were reported. Yeah, Korakuen. I think that number was a little high. Again, I think they fudged those numbers a tiny bit. But really looking at two foreign wrestlers, neither one has been in the main event mix a whole lot lately. It was a tough one for draw. Also, I think that it's a possibility that they're reaching critical mass with Korakuen Hall. I mean, this is the third and fourth shows in Korakuen Hall in the last 30 days. It's just you're asking an awful lot of the Tokyo crowd to keep coming out for these shows, but so not a great attendance on that one. But it picked up the second night, and it began with a singles match between Katsuyori Murashima and Masatori Yasuda. Now, these two went at it there, and a couple of minutes in, poor Yasuda, Murashima just smokes him in the face with a forearm. And just blasts him right there, knocks out one of his front teeth, and the other one was turned sideways and barely in his face. He was bleeding heavily.
To come back for one night.
And Yasuda had a terrific smile. He had great teeth. And now he has two fewer than he used to. I have a feeling. I can't imagine that other one survived
There was at least one that was gone.
Well, yes, and it didn't go far because in a brilliant piece of camera work, while Daiki Nagai, and not Nagai, excuse me, when Murashima was in the Boston Crab, Yasuda had him in the Boston Crab for a while for a rope break spot. He was reaching across that missing tooth to grab the bottom rope, and they captured it all in the frame. So pretty dramatic right there. But
this is cinema.
Well, yeah, Finema is how he would have to pay it now if a guy doesn't have any front teeth anymore. Just unfortunate because he just comes back from injury. He just gets back on and then gets the teeth blessed out of his face. So, yeah, guy can't catch a break. 7 minutes and 13 seconds. It ended up being a Boston Crab finish for Katsuya Murashima. I mentioned Daiki Nagai because he was in the next match. He had his Tanahashi match there. So, yeah, while Yasuda was probably having emergency dental surgery, Hiroshi, Tanahashi, and Nagai wrestled after that. And it was interesting that his match lasted just as long as everybody else's did in the Young Lions against him right there, even though he is the junior Young Lion of this group. And along with Yasuda. But I don't know if Yasuda is going to have a match with Tanahashi. There isn't one on the books right now. But we'll see if that turns up.
It'll happen. He's going to wrestle everybody.
But Nagai took a little bit more of this match than others. He was a little heelish, or if not heelish, at least more aggressive, than the others were, who played the role that they were fighting an uphill battle just to get a move or two in on Tanahashi before getting cut off. Nagai was a little more aggressive toward him, like you said. And the other thing I thought was interesting, Jeremy, I don't know if you noticed this, but it was a Boston Crab finish, but Nagai did not tap out. Nagai never tapped out. The referee just stopped it. And I have a feeling that Nagai was working it, I'm not trying to say something went wrong, but I think Nagai was just working it, getting the struggle over, and eventually was going to tap. And I think Tanahashi might have just kind of said, ring the bell. I can't sit in this squat for too much longer.
It might be. But
he did not tap.
One of the things that I gleaned from the backstage comments is that Tanahashi was talking about how these matches are going to pay off in a big way down the line. And so there might have been a by design idea that Daiki Nagai was not ever going to tap out to Tanahashi. And it may have been more like deliberate than it was, say, like someone going into business for themselves and the referee stopping it.
Yeah, it definitely wasn't that. I just think it was a matter of he was working he was selling it. He was selling that he was in pain from the thing, and the referee just seemed to have decided that that's enough of that, and just to end the thing. So maybe he was taking longer than Tanahashi or the referee wanted, and they just decided we got to end this thing now.
Yeah, those backstage comments this time around really felt salient, I guess you would say. Like you were getting a lot of context for the stuff, especially like the Desperado and Akira translation. Once you saw that in the backstage, it really, really explained why Akira got so pissed after the main event angle on the 4th. So more than anything else, check out those backstage comments for the 2 shows this week. They were really good.
After that, we had a quick 6-man here, 10 minutes, 47 seconds. But it was Shota Umino, Master Wato, and Taguchi. They faced the United Empire of Akira, Okan, and Jacob Austin Young. Wato got the Vindaval finish on Young, who was utterly despondent in backstage comments after this one, just saying he's not sure he's good enough. Maybe he's in over his head in New Japan, just really down on himself. And the other thing that happened here was something that continued on night 2 of these 2 shows, which was Okan just bullying Shota Umino, and he would ramp it up on the 2nd show. But on this one, another post-match beatdown. Whether Umino's team wins or the United Empire wins, Okan is doing everything he can to be the biggest heel in the building here, just trying to be a jerk to Shota Umino, which is setting up their big clash at New Beginning. And the way this is all going, it's pretty clear to me what's going to happen. We'll get to that in the preview.
Pretty clear to me what's going to happen.
But yet another beatdown from Okan after the match, and it seems to
laid it on real thick.
it was a rough night for United Empire too, because of Cobb's comments later, which we'll get to after the main event. So
everyone, a rough 2 nights for United Empire, really. If you really think about the fracturing going on, and we'll pull those threads a little bit later. But this really did feel like mid card mania on this part. Like there wasn't a whole lot going on, and they were really trying to get you with the subplots of the story rather than anything else, because they're really trying to build these angles going into the future.
LIJ was up next. It was Hiromu Takahashi and Tetsuya Naito, of course, challenging Nick and Matt Jackson for those IWGP tag team titles on Tuesday. Can't do preview tags because the Jacksons can't come to Japan until the show in Osaka. So in this case, they were facing GBH, the Great Back Shield team of Togi Makabe and Tomoaki Honma. Now, Makabe has a big match against Tanahashi. And so there was really only one way this was ever going to go, isn't it? So, but Hiromu and Makabe worked pretty hard. And I thought LIJ did a good job of putting Makabe over without losing to him, just making him look like a beast going into that match with Tanahashi. They have a new move that Naito is very, very excited about. It's called a Tendadero, and that is a quadruple clothesline, basically, where instead of just a double clothesline where you're grabbing your opponent, your teammate's wrist to clothesline someone. We've seen that 100 times. This is grabbing both of them, and so you're all 4 arms, by God. And Makabe would just blow right through it and then knock both of them down, that type of thing. They were putting that over and just getting him ready for Tanahashi. Yet, of course, they beat Tomoaki Honma, so that LIJ are at least on a winning streak. I don't think beating Honma and Makabe does a ton for your image, and I don't think Naito and Hiromu need it so much. They just need to get wins going into that match.
Did you
Nope. Did you freeze up?
Wait,
I think we may have lost Jeremy.
Oh, am I back yet? Am I here?
Yeah, no, I hear you now. It froze for just a moment.
Well, that's unfortunate. Anyway, if you caught last week's show, you might have caught my rant about Naito and Honma in the ring together. Yeah. And this was not much better.
No, it's rough.
In all honesty, there was a sequence where the heart camera was straight down on Korakuen, and Honma was supposed to fall out of the ring, and Naito was supposed to do a dive onto him. But when Honma fell out of the ring, he fell out of the ring, and Hiromu had to catch him and pick him back up to get him in position so that Naito, in his speed, and I was just watching it and was just like, I feel validated, but I also feel like an asshole pointing this out over and over and over again.
So up next, though, we did have the version of the War Dogs against just 4 guys. Now, this was something that also continued into the second day at Korakuen.
This brought me joy, Stephen.
Clark Connors and Sonata this time against Taka and Taichi. And so this was a finish here, 7 minutes, 56 seconds. The match wasn't anything to speak of, but at one point, Taichi went for a kick to the stomach. Sonata grabbed his leg, tucked it between his own legs, and then started selling like he had suffered a low blow. He faked a low blow. He pulled a Neymar on the entire group there and just did a dive and tried to sell it to the referee. And it worked. Kenta Sato rang the bell and disqualified Taichi, which set Taichi off in a big way. He was very pissed to the point of throwing down Sato, even giving him a couple of knocks on the outside of the ring. You don't see it, people beating up referees like that in that way all that much. He attacked the referee there and basically lost his poop. And so Taichi, though, would get his revenge the next night. But as for here, it was left with Connors and Sonata just kind of smirking and giggling on the way out.
The entirety of the build for Taichi and Sonata, for the most part, has to do with a nut shot. And you know what? I'm here for it.
After that, we had more War Dog action. These are the other War Dogs. It was Drill Maloney, Taiji Ishimori, and Gabe Kidd against the rest of LIJ. And that would be, Colin just gave us something I'm going to get into in just a little bit here. The LIJ team of Bushi, Shingo Takagi, and Yota Tsuji. And pretty basic stuff, but the energy did pick up here. These guys have pretty good chemistry together, and even when they're in third gear, their matches have been pretty good. Ghetto clutch finish on Bushi for Ishimori. So Ishimori got the win. Bushi did the job here, but Maloney, of course, getting ready for Takagi. Yota getting ready for Kidd, and Ishimori's always terrific. Bushi's a solid worker. So these combinations, I've really kind of enjoyed these trios matches on the run up. Certainly nothing earth-shattering, but just 6 pretty good workers working well.
I am thinking about these shows that New Japan is having and realizing that the depth of these cards and the talent. Very quietly, New Japan have rebuilt a very strong roster in which even these house shows, like, yes, the bottom of the card has some of these older talents and all that, but they're not missing right now. They really have solid matches and solid lineups and a caliber of lineup both in the junior heavyweight and the heavyweight division that really does have me interested.
So just briefly, it's not really wrestling related too much, except it is Japan related. This is probably going to be the biggest sports story in Japan tomorrow, or today, rather. It's already today over there. But breaking news on NHK, Shohei Ohtani's former interpreter got 4 years and 9 months, a nearly 5-year jail term for all of that. So, of course, that's the whole deal where he was basically stealing money from Shohei and using his identity on top of it, impersonating Shohei to get money out of gambling websites and cash transfers.
Just flat out impersonating him. Just taking all the personal information and just doing this shit. And it's wild. It was absolutely wild. And it absolutely dragged Shohei's reputation through the mud. People a lot of people were assuming that he was taking the fall for Shohei's stuff, and it looks like Shohei was indeed a victim of some pretty nasty stuff going on here. I mean, full exoneration, because this is going once in a 3 lifetime talent is playing baseball right now, and if there was any impunity, whether he was on the take or anything like that. Which, look, to be honest, if he's on the take, he should always be betting on himself
yes,
more than anything else. But still not allowed.
Worst ever at throwing games against himself for sure. Yeah, the worst.
Yeah,
ever.
I'll bet on myself and just make even more money. That would have been fantastic.
Goofy.
Funny. I did the wrap Royal Rumble recap with Keela Cash and Scott Young the other night. And at the very end of it, they dropped the Luka Doncic to the Lakers news in the middle of the review. And I'm just laughing here. Like, what the hell is up with these like major pro stories that are getting dropped in the middle of my podcast?
It's
like, it's adjacent. I'm interested, but it's like, it has nothing to do. I don't know, like, where is this coming from?
I'm still trying to figure that trade out. Were Keela and Scott as flummoxed as everybody else?
Yes. And I didn't have a whole lot of opinion because I was very tired at the time. And we're delving into it. But I have never seen backlash towards a general manager and a team for a trade the way that I am seeing the backlash against Nico Harrison and Dallas.
I don't know if you saw it today. I know we're going off topic here, but especially for the folks out in Europe who are probably not interested. But this trade, to give you folks an idea here, may not follow the NBA. This trade was so bad for one team, perception-wise, is perceived as being so bad for one team. The team on what is perceived to be the wrong end of it has offered refunds to its season ticket holders for the rest of this year if they are that pissed. And it's worth about $2,000. If you just want to say, screw you guys, they will actually give people their money back rather than watch this disassembled version of the Mavericks.
My tinfoil theory is that they'll just turn around and upsell the ticket for $4,000 to make a profit off of it.
Yeah, I think so too. I think they would absolutely put them just on StubHub and take the commission off it. I think so too.
Absolutely. Yeah. Wild shit. This is where analytics in sports will burn you. You can rely on analytics, and the analytics on Luka Doncic don't reflect what he really brings to a team, and they relied on analytics, and it fucked them. So,
I think there's a lot of things going on there with that, and probably some off the court stuff or whatever. But him for Anthony Davis, there's just no way to really justify that one. All right, back to wrestling.
Talking about the Super Bowl, I don't want to, but I'm sure that'll come up too. And I don't follow hockey, but sure, let's just talk about whatever. It's fine. Everything's off the rails.
See, everyone's talking about the Super Bowl, but really the biggest sporting event for me starting this weekend is the Scotties Tournament of Hearts in Canada. I'm going to be watching some women's curling by Craigie. That's I'm into that one.
USVA guy. Hello, Esteban.
Hey,
back from Dallas. The outrage is escaped. Yes, that's what I've heard.
Should be. But look at it this way: Rangers season is starting up soon, and not Rangers as in Collins Rangers, but the Texas Rangers baseball team. That's on the way.
So you know what else was insane? Not really, but this 10-man tag that we had.
Yeah, it was pretty good. So that we had another one that was a great semifinal here. So this was Hirooki Goto, Tomohiro Ishii, Yo, and Yoshihashi. And El Desperado. So we had Chaos and Desperado tacked on to some of the members of Chaos against TMDK. That's Hartley Jackson, Kosei Fujita, Robbie Eagles, Ryohei Oiwa, and Zack Sabre Jr. This one is worth going out of your way to spend some time seeing, even if you were just interested in the title matches this week. This one was fabulous. Ishii and Hartley Jackson is now a match I would really like to see one-on-one. And Ishii ended up getting him with the brain buster here, but good energy from all the guys. Everyone seemed a little bit motivated there. And it's one of those things where when two guys in a 10-man tag start working really hard, everyone else in the match starts to get the bug. He says, well, I don't want to look like the slug here. And so everyone kind of pushed themselves in this one. I had fun watching this match, and Chaos getting the victory going then they did another multi-person tag on night 2 as well, but just building up the Chaos momentum.
It was really impressive how many matches they heated up with this 10-man tag. You know, you had the Desperado and Fujita match. You had the tag match, the IWGP Junior tag match. You got Goto and Zack Sabre Jr. And like I said, now I want to see like Ishii and Hartley Jackson in the New Japan Cup or something. Like make that a first-round match in the New Japan Cup.
That's the guy, Hartley Jackson, I saw everywhere when I was in Japan. Like he worked for, it seemed like he was at every show, working in some kind of match that was pretty damn good over the course of the night. You know, that's like, it seems like wherever he turned up, there was real quality there. I like Hartley a lot. And he just seems to be a guy that many promotions want to have on their card because he's just one of those good hands that'll always give you a good effort. And I'm quickly becoming a fan of the dude. I know he's not heavily pushed right now, but neither was Doki at first. And look what's happened with him. Sometimes it just takes time before they get the recognition. And again, we've talked about it. You can only push so many people at once. It's not Hartley Jackson's time right now, but I
kind of got that Jonah Jeff Cobb vibe to him.
Yeah, and I mean there might be an opening. Oh dear Lord! We also have more news on the Shohei thing. Ippei, who's the guy, the interpreter's name, has to pay $17 million back to Shohei. Good luck getting that back. I bet he's probably lost most of the stuff that he has stolen.
17 million. Shohei's never getting that money back. It's very polite that they're going to make him give him that money back. But honestly, I don't think Shohei's even going to miss it.
How is he ever going to make $17 million after this? He doesn't have it anymore. He doesn't have it anymore. He lost it.
He can write a book and then take all the proceeds to pay it off.
If I Did It by Ippei?
If I Did It by Ippei? Absolutely. Absolutely. Hypothetically, if I were gambling someone else's money.
Yeah. And he's a USVA guy. Hartley still owes me a Voodoo Murder shirt. Ooh, I want one of those too. I would want one of those too. All right, so we have the main event of the night. After that, we're just going to digress a little bit. It's going to be a fun day. There's a lot of interesting stuff going on outside of wrestling too. So, World Television Title match. They added a stipulation on this, Jeremy, last minute. No countouts for this one. Although they didn't really use it too much. They fought outside the ring a little bit, but it's not like they toured the building like some of the other guys would have probably with that step. El Phantasmo against Jeff Cobb. This one went 12 minutes, 45 seconds. It was excellent. We talked about these two. El Phantasmo is a guy who's worked with bigger guys his whole career. Jeff Cobb, by necessity and no choice, knows how to work with guys smaller than him because there aren't people that are built like that other than Jeff for the most part, just a handful. So both these guys know how to do this, and they're excellent at it. And this match was a terrific example of two guys with very different sizes, very different ring styles that work nicely together. Cobb took most of the match for reasons having to do with the result. At one point, the highlight was ELP for me, hitting a moonsault off the post over the rail all the way to the floor. That was very impressive. Jeff Cobb tried his own Thunder Kiss, but missed it. ELP hit one to win. Without going into just spot after spot after spot reporting, just two really good wrestlers who know how to work with a very different style than theirs. And when it hit beautifully. I really enjoyed this.
I just thought it was interesting that you had ELP and Jeff Cobb main eventing a Korakuen Hall show. Doesn't happen often.
And from the attendance, we probably see why it doesn't happen very often.
No, it doesn't. But they have to get these matches in at some point, and this was a perfect place to do it. It was a fantastic match. Jeff Cobb is totally underrated for where he is in the world. He could be in WWE and AEW at a top level, but it's his decision not to be, and that's totally okay because he is doing well here, but he is starting to have those backstage comments about other people coming in and his spot, maybe what he was doing. He's no longer the days of going 8 wins in a row and the G1 it's all gone. And it was an interesting admission from him here. These were two baby faces. ELP is clearly on the upswing, and he is in fact very, very popular with the crowds that do show up.
Yeah, absolutely. And so's Cobb. I mean, the people that were there loved what they saw. It's just, it's tough. Again, 4 shows within a month in the same building. And the second night's main event was a little cooler. So if you're going to go to one of the two, I think I probably would have made the same choice that a lot of others did. But no offense to either one of these guys. Really, it was a good match. And with Cobb, he mentioned after the match in backstage comments that maybe it's time to pack his bags and go on another adventure right there. And some of that might be a little bit of gamesmanship in front of the cameras, contract-wise, could be. It could be storyline. But it really leaves me to wonder about United Empire as a whole, Jeremy. Is there a whole lot of point to it at the moment? And here's why I bring this up. There needs to be some sort of reorganization of it, and Chaos is kind of in the same boat, is that they're rudderless. The leader of the faction isn't there anymore. There's no Okada, there's no Nakamura. And on Chaos side, on the United Empire side, Will Ospreay's left, and he's an
TJP,
AEW.
the other leader, is gone.
They spent all that time talking about how he was the leader of it, the new captain, and all that, and then he's poof gone. So really, the leader is Great O'Khan. Really, that's the guy, especially with Hanare hurt. But
he kind of is the front man, isn't he?
They're kind of rudderless at the moment with that, and no one. I know they've said over and over again ad nauseum that we're a collection of equals and things, but we all know how this works in New Japan. Rather, is you have the guy that's world title level, you have somebody that's maybe global title level, and then you have a junior and all that kind of stuff. But it does seem like a group that is a little lost in the woods at the moment. And if Cobb indeed, it's kind of amazing to me that AEW, WWE, no one's picked this guy up or made him an offer he liked enough to stay with. I thought that was interesting. Maybe somebody will, but I would be sad to see Cobb go, certainly. But it does feel a little bit, Jeremy, like you said, the 8-0 days are gone. He doesn't feel like a world title contender type anymore, in just the way they're portraying him in the company a little bit. So it's
you feel like he's met his ceiling and he's no longer at that level anymore.
Yeah, and if they bring in guys like if they bring in guys like Pestok, if we get more guys like Brody King, if we get more Hartley Jackson types and things, it's like, well, what is Cobb's role then? Is it time maybe to move on to something else for a little while? Perhaps it is.
I do think that this is all storyline as well, and this is just Cobb kind of, woe is me, I've lost a few matches, I'm no longer a title holder, everything just doesn't seem to be going my way. We all know that, we should know that when the New Japan Cup rolls around, a lot of the stuff starts getting paid off, like whether he loses immediately or he goes far, like that's all redefined by what he's doing there. As for United Empire, Colin asked if TJP has left New Japan Pro Wrestling. No, but the story right now is that he has gone away. And once we get to the Desperado match on the 4th, we'll go into it more. But it appears that the void TJP has left in not being there is more impactful than TJP being there, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, it does feel like TJP is going to be doing some things more on in North America this year, than spending more time over here than over there, perhaps, or at least in the first half of the year. That's the way it seems. We'll see if he will know that it's serious if he doesn't turn up at Super Juniors. Basically, that's the.
We have Jay and we have Soberano, Templario, the new one in United Empire.
Yeah.
So they moved and brought in a couple of junior heavyweight. So if TJP is in fact just an unofficial reserve member, like they have people in that spot.
Yeah, I don't know. Is Templario really a junior? Not really. Not no.
They would probably
not really
book him as one. You don't think he would be the best of the Super Juniors?
Templario? He's a big dude. He's a bigger dude.
I thought maybe he would be.
He's a bigger dude than that. He's thick.
I thought he was tall but lean, like Kevin Knightish.
Soberano.
Not a
Soberano is Templario stockier.
Maybe I got it wrong.
Who knows? I mean, they play around with that stuff. I mean,
I do. I was just when I saw Templario, I was like, I almost kind of think that he would be. They would put him in the Super Junior tournament.
I don't know. We'll see. February 4th, 1,287 people showed up, according to them. It's weird. Did you notice, especially when Makabe was outside of the ring, they had this camera shot of the orange seats, and it was almost full. The whole building was almost full. There were noticeably more people in the bleachers, more people on the sides. And then in the orange seats, The orange seats looked pretty full, except for one large section of orange seats that were absolutely completely empty, as if they were roped off, but they weren't. And sometimes that happens at Korakuen. I don't understand it. If anybody knows anything about how that works, I would love to hear it. I'm enough of a venue nerd that would interest me. So if you know why sometimes there's like a packed house, but 6 rows of seats on the sides that just aren't sold at all, no one goes into, I'm curious why. But anyway, that was it. So almost a full house here for February 4th. And it led off with Daiki Nagai and Togi Makabe against Tanahashi and Murashima. So we have the 2 young lions in there. Oh, USVA guy says he can explain that. Go ahead and type that in, and then we'll cover it as soon as you do. I appreciate this. It's something I've been very curious about. I've seen multiple companies.
Can I interrupt you before we jump into this? I looked up something.
Sure. All right.
Templario, 32 years old, 5'8", 216 pounds.
All right on the edge. You can do it either way, can't you?
Drilla Maloney.
Yeah.
27 years old, 5'10", 216 pounds.
Well, there you have it. See, they're right on the line. Right on the line. There you go.
Like, right. I do kind of think that you could get that guy in there and have him bouncing around in a Super Junior tournament, and it would fucking rule.
But that explains why, because he's a little bit on the shorter-ish side, so he looks stockier. He's a little thicker. Okay. So while USVA guy is ending my curiosity that I've had for a couple of years, I'm really looking forward to knowing this answer. We had Nagai and Makabe against Tanahashi and Murashima. King Kong knee to, of course, Murashima. Tanahashi didn't take it, but got the full-on finisher from Makabe, and pretty decent opener with the young lion work right there. But, of course, we've talked about it before. Shinya Makabe was Hiroshi Tanahashi's very first opponent at Korakuen Hall. That's where Tanahashi's debut match was against Makabe. They will be facing each other at least one more time in a singles match at New Beginning, and so they're keeping Makabe strong for that.
Making him look good before his last big match with Tanahashi. Is this Makabe's last big singles match? What, too, do you think?
Yeah, probably so. I don't know that he's
quietly this is the big deal. Tanahashi's last match with Makabe.
Yeah, I think
this is also,
if some year Makabe announces his retirement, he will probably have a bigger one then. But he's not going to get pushed, and he's not a guy. We mentioned this too. He is probably the most famous person in New Japan to mainstream people. He does a lot of talk shows and television appearances that the others don't. So if you just walked up to people on the street, you'd probably actually get more people who know who Makabe is than a lot of pretty well pushed New Japan stars, because they see him in context outside of wrestling. So he's good to have around. He does help out in the dojo as well. And so he's a good guy to have there. But he's not pushed, and he's not going to be pushed. And I think the next time he has a major spotlight such as this will probably be when he's hanging up.
Yeah, that's kind of my vibe too. I was thinking about the match that we were going to talk about. Like, holy shit, probably going to be pretty similar for Makabe, but it's like the focus is on Tanahashi.
Certainly, yeah, and that's why I don't think you're going to get too many people in New Japan, if any, that are going to publicly announce any retirements until this is all over with, because it would just be completely overshadowed and even counterproductive to Tanahashi's retirement, which is supposed to sell tickets at the Dome next year.
Unfortunate news, notwithstanding, of somebody down the line you can't avoid, but yes, it is. This is the final road for one Hiroshi Tanahashi. No one is hitching a ride on the wagon.
8-man tag match came up next as United Empire with Akira, Okan, and Jacob Austin Young teaming with Cobb against Phantasmo, Jado, Wato, and Umino. So a little bit of a post view for the TV title match and previews of others. Double knee finish for Akira since he had more work to do that day. Akira was not done for the night when he got the pinfall victory. And then, after that, we saw the Great Okan go a little crazy on Umino and actually cut off a chunk of his hair. And the bullying just continues on, and Shota's not answering it in a way that should probably be pretty eerie to Great Okan if he were thinking through everything. I'm speaking about in character, of course, but it's his looks on his face and the slowly simmering anger in Shota Umino could boil over in Osaka, I think, as he's now had parts of his hair cut off, didn't even say anything, just stood there with the pieces of his hair that had been chopped and walked away from the cameras without saying a word. That can be a little scarier sometimes than fire and brimstone from a guy. So Shota Umino has been on the receiving end of every single bit of this ever since all this started. So he hasn't gotten much of it back. And that's the story they're telling, is that he's just getting bullied around by Great Okan.
Well, a couple of scissors in 2025 in pro wrestling. This is like the
a lot of
third feud, second in New Japan, where they're just going hard.
Yeah,
with scissors being the angle. Like, really haven't gone that route in a while, but hey, here we are. So okay. Don't love it, but
double hair versus hair someday, maybe. I don't know.
I mean, Great Okan already got his hair cut off by
yeah, that's right. Moxley,
former mentor. So I see the link there.
Yeah, there's a little bit of thread there.
It does make me curious about Evil and Tanahashi doing a hair match, because I mean, it just, you know what I mean? So why do two different shows or two different feuds where hair is kind of cannibalizes? But I don't know.
No, I agree with you. It's a little odd, but we'll see how that all turns out. Maybe they have a plan.
Step one in the rehabilitation should have been out.
LIJ. Now here we had Hiromu and Naito again. They can't do previews, so this time it was Oleg Boltin and Tomoaki Honma, and he got Honma again with the Puma Blanca this time. The quad clothesline being Naito's new thing. He talked about it all through backstage comments, and once again, Oleg just blew right through it a couple of times before they finally got him with it. And Oleg was appropriately impressive in throwing Takahashi around and appropriately careful with Naito.
More Honma, more Naito. Had to protect Oleg because I forgot about his awesome match that he's going to have in a couple of days, so they had to protect him on this one. But there is a way that Naito looks in 2025, and you either know about it or you're going to be incredibly shocked when you see it for yourself.
Here's USVA guy's answer. So every single show, New Japan has a section that is saved for comps, family, friends, and media. That section cannot be placed on sale with ticket brokers until they are released a few days before the show. So apparently nobody snapped any of those up because it was just a bare empty area there. So, or at least if they did, they just put them all in the same row.
Hey, maybe we can be media next time we go to Korakuen Hall.
Yeah, maybe so. The thing about the media stuff is, I know when Lyric was talking about going to Wrestle Kingdom as media, and then I went just as a fan. That was the whole thing with me. I didn't do the whole press pass thing. I had other people ask, "Did you ask for a press pass?" I'm like, in the dome, I don't want to sit in the press box. Like, that's about some of the worst seats in the dome. It's like, if for baseball, that's where you want to be. But for pro wrestling, I wanted to be in the third row. That's where I wanted to be. Korakuen Hall would probably be a little tighter. There are no bad seats in there. So maybe a press pass to Korakuen would be good. And yeah, a VA guy does mention this. The majority of Korakuen sales are direct through the Korakuen Hall box office. And yeah, there's a little window on the first floor out in the sidewalk area. It's a plaza. But there's a window there that'll sell you match day tickets and
give you what you want.
You can also go
what you want.
Yeah, you can also go up to like the fifth floor, I think, when there's not an event going on currently, and buy tickets for future. I did that when I was in Japan in 2019. I just went up there and tapped out something on my little translator and held it up like, I would like to buy tickets to Noah, please. So yeah, there we go. So there's your answer. So that helps. So those would have been.
You feel satisfied knowing your answer now.
Yeah, the idea that it's tickets they were holding back and then just didn't get picked up last second. That's fine.
Is that a good answer, or do you feel as if there's somewhat disappointing and there was a reason that would have been like with mystery and intrigue that somehow or was that just good?
No, I'm good. I'm glad. Great. I'm glad he helped me out with that.
Great. You know what I was happy about? I was happy about the payoff in this next match from the angles that we had. I laughed my ass off, Steven.
Well, this time it was Sonata and Taiji Ishimori against Taka and Taichi. And this time they wasted no time, which I liked. They just came to the ring. Taichi was still very, very angry about what had happened the night before. So when he tried to pull the same stunt by grabbing Sonata grabbed Taichi's leg again, stuck it between his legs, and tried to sell the idea that he had been hit with a low blow. Only this time, Kenta Sato was looking right at it, knew exactly what Sonata had done. So he just said, nope, I'm not disqualifying him. Taichi then swiftly kicked Sonata below the belt and just said, you want to get hit in the nuts? I'll kick you in the nuts. And he absolutely did. Smoked him in the nuts right there and said, got himself disqualified again.
If you're going to get me for something I didn't do, I might as well do it.
Might as well do it. And so he even threw Kenta Sato out of the ring again, completely dismissing him from the whole thing, tore off Sonata's shirt, which of course has the profanity on it of the blank, just 4 guys, threw it in his face. It was the Taichi we've all wanted here. This guy that's just angry and can tear somebody apart if he needs to. I like this, doggone it. Eric De La Cruz says, fly, Eagles, fly. Oh, I see. There's our Super Bowl reference right there.
Oh, I thought it was talking about Robbie Eagles.
I'm going to guess he's talking about Philadelphia. I'm going to guess he's talking Philadelphia.
Oi.
So yeah, there we go. Go ahead and talk about this. This was indeed very satisfying.
It was incredibly delightful because you get the Bullet Club bullshit and you get all this stuff. And this happened the night before, and I was like, oh, all right, whatever. Like, end the match and do this.
Yeah.
The fact that they just walked back in, came back in, Taichi just nut shot at him. It's like, you know what? I'm not even dealing with this.
Yeah, I'm not.
And it's like, I am out of here. That's like a Sheety energy. You know what I mean? Like,
didn't even try to have a match. Didn't even try to have a match. Like, walk to the ring knowing I am going to kick this guy in the balls as soon as I can. And he did.
He almost was willing to have a match, but then Sonata tried it again. And he stopped him, and the referee caught it, and he was like, "No, I'm gonna make sure this man can never have children." And and they did it from a reverse angle, so from behind Taichi. So you saw him basically line up for the penalty kick, and just swing and try and hit the ball into the net as hard as he could, and he hit those balls right into the net as hard as he could.
It looked really good, didn't it? That's the other thing is it looked good. The kick looked good. Sonata sold it perfectly. It was just good moment, and when you're doing 2 nights thing, having something go over from one night into night 2, that always gets over with me. I like that they do those little things like that, little mini angles. So I enjoyed it.
You could argue this is lazy, and you can't go back to the well, and you can't do this too often. But when you do, it works out really well.
Another quick one came right after that, though. And the War Dogs, Connors, Maloney, and Gabe Kidd against Bushi, Shingo, and Yota Tsuji. And this one went 6 minutes and 43 seconds. Most of it was on the outside of the ring. And in the end, they all just kind of fought all over the building, and it was a double count out. It was just that the ring could not contain them. But the angle part of it was Drilla Maloney picking up Shingo Takagi and giving him the Drilla Killa on the floor carefully and not in a way that would hurt him, thank God. But that was
murder him.
Well, that's the point, isn't it? Because this is the one match that I'm interested. It's going to be really good, but there is a perception issue in terms of their level. I don't think there's a human being that thinks that Drilla Maloney's winning this match. So they are doing everything they can to convince you that Maloney can indeed damage the Rampage Dragon, and giving him a Drilla Killa on the Korakuen Hall floor. It
looked a little vicious looking.
Yeah, thankfully he did it carefully, and because that's a move that could really hurt somebody if he's not careful. But Maloney knows what he's doing.
The whole vibe of this match was basically to let you know that those 2 matches, Yota Tsuji and Gabe Kidd, and Drilla Maloney and Shingo Takagi, are going to be off the rails. They are telling you as much as they can tell you. Those are going to be the wild matches of the night, and I am absolutely into it.
All right. So, yeah, I enjoy that. And again, that was between those 2 matches, we were under 10 minutes. So this thing was really flowing. And after that, we had another 11.5-minute match. And this was the Chaos Group against TMDK, Goto, Ishii, Yoshihashi, and Yo against Hartley Jackson, Robbie Eagles, Ryohei Oiwa, and Zack Sabre Jr. Again, pretty quick action, good stuff. And they keep the challenger strong. Bishamon hit the Shoto on Jackson to send them to New Beginning. Of course, we mentioned they have a show on Friday and a show on Sunday. Those are strictly house shows, not televised. So the last time anybody outside of those house shows are seeing things, they see Goto's hand raised as a Samurai Dad moves closer to his date with Destiny.
What do you think?
Well, we're going to get to that in the preview.
I thought this was good, but at this point, I was like, I'm ready for Fujita and Desperado.
Yeah, I understand.
And boy, did I feel alive when I got to that one.
Yeah, this one is what a lot of the time went 23 minutes and 3 seconds and did not feel like it, though. This one really flew by. Very, very good. Desperado against Kosei Fujita for the junior heavyweight title. Fujita will be the ace of this division someday.
Yes.
And that day is coming sooner than maybe I even thought. And I thought it was going to be pretty quick, but he is close.
He is him.
Yeah, he's the guy, isn't he? The charisma is there. The working ability is there. The athleticism is there. And he gave...
I just think about all the dream matches.
He gave Desperado everything he wanted. It was absolutely wonderful. In the end, Desperado hit the pinche driver, and then there was a suplex with a bridge from Fujita as kind of his dying breath a little bit, but then it was a pinche loco to win. And we could sit here and describe this thing move by move, but this match was really wonderful and just shown how much Fujita has grown. We know this. We say this all the time. But again, seeing him against one of the very best juniors in the world, and he was not carried. He was a peer of El Desperado in this match. El Desperado did not have to carry him. He was El Desperado's peer, not his senpai kohai thing. Just a talent that could end up being generational.
Did you manage to see the repost on social media of Zack Sabre Jr. watching from the rafters this match?
Yeah, he was up in the catbird seat. There wasn't he? He was up in the what used to be the standing room only area, and is for some promotions. New Japan doesn't seem to open it up much anymore. But Zack was up there in the bird box there watching over.
So Desperado and Zack were contemporaries in Suzuki-gun. Mm-hmm. And Zack has been Fujita's mentor in TMDK. So there was this unofficial kind of tie between his past and his present with these two. And there's no doubt that the fingerprints of Zack Sabre Jr. were all over this match with what both of these men have taught Zack and what Zack has taught them in terms of things in the ring and what they can do. And so when you watch this match, you realize that the excursion that Fujita took, where he never left and he just trained with TMDK instead, was maybe the best thing that ever could happen to him. And there was never really a moment where he graduated from... It all just kind of blurs together at this point. Like, there was never like a definitive moment where it was like, this dude is not a young lion anymore. And it wasn't this match. It happened a while ago. But it was like, even the idea of this guy ever having been a young lion feels so far in the rear view mirror after this match. You know, it's like, he's come so far, so fast. Exceeded every expectation of him. And just watching him go to toe-to-toe with El Desperado, who is arguably one of the best wrestlers in the world, both in charisma, in-ring performance, what he's able to do in the ring. It was amazing. Like, I don't rate matches, but this was like a 4.5, 5-star match. If somebody wanted to call this a 5-star match, I wouldn't have a problem with it. If you wanted to call it a 4-star match, I'd be a little angry. I think that's a little too low. But it was that good. This was one of the first matches of the year where I'm just like, you need to remember this match at the end of the year when you were talking about match of the year candidates.
We'll keep an eye on that and see if we get a better junior match this year. It's going to be a tough one.
This was a best of the Super Junior final. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, this was that level of match.
Might be the best of the Super Junior final someday, but not this year. There's other things they can do, but it might be someday. All right.
Use it.
After that, we did have a challenge. So Desperado was doing his speech afterwards and was about to play his music. In fact, they did play a few strains of the music there, and he was about to go out. Then it shut off. Francesco Akira, who had gotten the pinfall victory earlier in the night in some foreshadowing, came out to challenge Desperado. And Jeremy, tell us a little bit about the subtext. I don't know the subtext. It was explicit. They talked about it on the microphone.
The context of what happened in the ring.
Yeah, tell us why Akira was so steamed off here.
So Akira came out and he was chest puffed. I'm the man. I am going to come out. I'm feeling myself. I am going to challenge the champion right now for this title. Desperado eyed him up and down, looked at him, and he's like, "You sure you want to do this? What about your big brother TJP? Are you sure? Are you sure you're going to be able to like do this without him? Is he going to be here? Like,
Akira
sure?
didn't.
TJP or Akira just freaking pushed into him, and Desperado knew he had him.
Mm-hmm.
This was one of those like main event mind games where like the guy thinks he's ready for the main event, and the main eventer is like, "Oh no, you are not ready, and I'm going to show you how not ready you are." And Akira is going to have a fantastic match, and Akira could win this match with the way that they're doing the story.
Yeah, maybe.
But I think this story is all about like Desperado showing why he is Desperado and why he is the man right now.
And what we're going to see there is that match taking place at the anniversary show on March 6th, a bit of a surprise in that what it means is we are not getting the world heavyweight champion against the junior heavyweight champion for the anniversary show this year. They'll be in separate matches. So none of that.
My Desperado Goto dream match has been dashed before it could even be possible.
Desperado Zack wouldn't have broken my heart either.
It would not have broken my heart, but there was an idea of Desperado and Goto that I was just like,
so tomorrow,
at that idea.
So that'll be March 6th. We got a ways to go for that one. That's after Fantastica Mania, of course. And then Friday the 7th in Nagano, Sunday the 9th in Kyoto, and then Tuesday in Osaka, the new beginning in Osaka. So shall we go right into that one? Just take a moment here to say don't forget about the other shows in the Fight Game Media Networks. There's just Power Bombshells every Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern. Of course, the Dynamite Show, the Fight Game Show that Garrett does. And there's a bunch of good stuff, right?
Yep, absolutely. We might be coming back with a recap of the Collision episode of Grand Slam AEW at the Boom with me and Kevin Ely. We've talked about potentially coming back for that next Saturday night, possibly. We do pay-per-view and PLE recaps. A lot of people like watching those that we do there. And
and don't forget five-star Joshi show with Scott Edwards, and also all those pods, the wrap like you mentioned with Scott and Keeler right now. And hey, it's the time of the year for that. We're building toward WrestleMania, so don't forget about
the road to Mania. And we mentioned it earlier in the show, but if you missed it, our show next week is not on Thursday. We're coming back on Tuesday after the New Beginning show in Osaka to do a recap later on in the day for that one. So one more reminder of that. Tuesday, not Thursday, next week for Speaking Strong Style.
All right, so we will have this one here now. That it's going to kick off with a there is a dark match here on the New Beginning show, and that is Murashima and Desperado against Akira and Jeff Cobb. So that's just going to be that's the opener there before we go on the main show. So Murashima and Desperado against Cobb and Akira, a preview of the anniversary show.
Right on.
And then the main show will open with a 30-minute time limit special. Final Road Kinship match is what this one is being labeled. Of course, these two are friends going back a long way, and frenemies, right? The many matches between them over the years, teaming up as well. Hiroshi Tanahashi, Togi Makabe.
The Battle of the Grandpas.
Yeah, I'd imagine this is going to be a win for Tanahashi, right?
I would hope so. I mean, there's going to be a point where Tanahashi is no longer winning these matches, but I don't think that we're here yet.
It's one of those things too, where if he puts over everybody, then he's not really putting over anybody. The losses need to mean something, and that this is not the time, I don't think. And besides, Tanahashi needs that momentum, and Makabe really doesn't. So, but remember, the interesting, if you look at it, they don't beat Makabe often at all.
Nope.
Even in these trios matches and all that stuff that are these preview tags and things, they do not beat Makabe very often. So it'll be something when he gets probably a high-fi flow type of thing in a win.
So in my mind, a very seamless way of doing it would be Tanahashi wins against these young lions. He beats Makabe, and then he goes into the New Japan Cup feeling confident, feeling like, hey, I'm on a win streak. I'm doing really, really well. But he loses in the first round of the New Japan Cup and then proceeds his losing streak. Because by April, he's gonna be doing his last match in the States, with Takeshita. And he's not winning that match, and there's gonna be a whole lot of matches he won't be winning after that. So the New Japan Cup is a really good time to pivot and go from Tanahashi feeling like he's got some confidence winning to getting the hard dose of reality of what where he's at in New Japan right now.
I could see him winning a first round match, giving him a fairly easy draw or something like that. He might get one in there.
Mm-hmm.
So
but
after that,
it's not going to end well.
The second match, we're picking up the pace here real quickly. So the second match is going to be Shingo Takagi against Drilla Maloney. And I stand by that. I don't think there's a snowball's chance in hell for Maloney to actually win this thing, but I do think it'll be a terrific match. And it's a good one for Shingo to get the rehab win after losing during the big weekend in Tokyo. A little bit of see his hand raised again. And for Maloney, it kind of elevates him just being in a feud with Shingo Takagi.
If you think the work rate needed to be made up in the first match, they will make it up in the second match. This will be a fast, hard-hitting, unsentimental match, if you will, as much as the first one will be the opposite.
Up next, Great Okan and Yota Tsuji, and Shota Umino. I just said Yota Tsuji is coming up later. Excuse me. Yota Tsuji is later. Shota Umino will be wrestling Great Okan. Okan has been bullying him around, cut off a chunk of his hair. I have a feeling that Okan is going to get a new one torn in him by Shota Umino, that he's going to come back and come back hard on Okan. It just doesn't make sense for him to lose this match. To me, Jeremy, he's just been taking L's night after night, even when they win the match, he gets beaten down afterwards. This just looks like setting up the bully to get schooled at the big moment. So I feel like this is where the bully's going to get knocked back down. That's what this thing is screaming out at me.
The New Japan World Fan Club, Esteban, is reminding us that Drilla did pin Naito, so there is a possibility that we could introduce that Shingo is vulnerable in this match. And I'm willing to entertain 20% Shingo losing this match. Willing to entertain a 1 in 5 chance.
Was that a G1 match when that happened?
I don't think it was a G1 match. I think it was a Road 2 match.
Okay.
After.
All right.
Road to Power Struggle or whatever.
Right.
There were things going on around that time. As for this one, they have gone really, really hard in humiliating Shota and tearing him down. And I think this is the round 1 of the rehabilitation tour for the guy.
All right. Coming up after that one, we have Taichi and Sonata. This is one that feels a little overdue. I think this is something that they need to do because of the way Sonata left just 5 guys, and then there wasn't room for it on the Wrestle Kingdom card for this one, so we're going to do it here. I think the Korakuen Hall back and forth thing with the low blows at least put a little bit more steam on it. Mm-hmm. I think it's probably more important for Sonata to win this match for Taichi, but they could go with a babyface finish here. This does feel like one that Sonata can win. You turn on them, then they put you over, and it just has that storyline on it for me anyway. So my guess is Sonata, but if they just wanted to do Taichi getting a little bit of revenge for him being left behind, then I'd be there for it. I don't think either guy would be hurt too much by losing, but it feels more like Sonata to me. Yeah,
total pick'em.
Feels
you
more
can
like
make an argument for either one winning. I think just 5 guys, just 4 guys, just 2 guys is kind of dead on arrival right now. And
until Uemura comes back, you don't really need to do anything with him. There's just not a spot.
Right. And it's clear that the War Dogs is the faction that they're putting a lot of emphasis on right now.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I'm inclined to think Sonata's winning this match, and the feud itself kind of the freshest buy date kind of passed by us a little while ago, but there just wasn't dates for them to do this match.
Yeah.
I don't know if this match would have been better as the February 3rd main, and they would have put Jeff Cobb and ELP on the New Beginning show. I don't know if that would have been a better pivot, but I think that for these guys and their stature in New Japan, I get why they put them on the big card instead.
All right. After this one, starting to get towards some title matches here, and we have the IWGP Junior Heavyweight title. This is Fujita and Robbie Eagles against Yo and Rocky Romero. And so that, of course, Yo and Rocky Romero challenge West Coast Wrecking Crew for the strong tag team titles. They get another shot here, and it feels like Fujita and Eagles will probably retain here. I don't really know the point, but again, you can't be too sure with the junior tag team titles. These are belts that historically don't get a whole lot of defenses before they're switched up.
I would not take any belt off of Kosei Fujita right now if you
I wouldn't
have to.
Yeah, I'd leave it on.
Number one, and Rocky Romero is the busiest man in pro wrestling. When is he going to have time to defend these titles in Japan?
Man has a lot of phone calls to make.
Man has many jobs and many offices to field and many priorities that preclude him, in my mind, from making this a priority.
After this one, more titles on the line. Never open weight title, Konosuke Takeshita and Bolton Oleg. So Oleg getting a real interesting spot here against Takeshita. Again, this feels like a title retention 100% of the way. Oleg is, though, I think that Takeshita is probably going to give us Bolton Oleg's best match.
So Takeshita is going to Japan and then flying to Australia after that, because he is a crazy person, doing a tag with Ospreay and Omega and Kyle Fletcher a few days after this. Man, what a beast. I legitimately forgot this match was happening until I put together like the match card listing. I'm like, oh yeah, this is happening. This is gonna be awesome. This is what I was like putting it together. I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot just how loaded this card was. This is gonna be a great match, I think. It shows a lot about where Bolton is, if he can work with a guy like how he can does with Takeshita right now.
Yeah, it'll be a nice test for him if he comes out of this looking good. He's not going to win, but if he comes out of this looking good, it's a big step forward for him.
I agree.
Naito and Takahashi against Matt and Nick Jackson for the IWGP Heavyweight Tag Team titles. So, looking at this, we talked about how maybe this is the best thing for Naito right now is to team with Hiromu regularly, let Hiromu do about 2/3 to 3/4 of the actual in-ring work, do your big spots and get out. I still feel that way. I don't know if there's going to be a title switch here, though. I feel like right now I am leaning toward LIJ taking the belts, but anytime there is somebody not in the organization holding championships, there are a lot more things than just the storyline that come into play. Does New Japan want to keep these titles where they are and bring Nick and Matt in every once in a while? Are they okay with that? I mean, Nick and Matt are not going to go do a whole tour. That's not going to happen. They've got other things going. But they've been okay with that in the past with AEW tag teams. Would they be okay with that again here and just making this a bit of a longer thing? Or was this simply a thing so that Matt and Nick can have another Wrestle Kingdom or Wrestle Dynasty moment, win the tag team titles, and then give them back when the time's ready and transition the titles to new champions? It honestly could go either way for me. And I think a lot of it has to do with the behind the scenes stuff as it does anything going on in the ring.
I think it could go either way, but I think they want to sell out Chicago and for Windy City. And I think if they were to run this match back there, I'm not sure it matters who has the belts for that match, but I wouldn't be surprised if this match happens in Chicago in 2 months as well.
Okay.
I hope that Nick and Matt Jackson can get more out of Naito than a lot of other people have. That is one of the skills that I do believe that the Young Bucks they have, is that they have an ability to make their opponents look good in ways that other people don't. Whether you think that they are spot monkeys or don't know how to tell a story, you cannot argue that they have a talent with finding ways to make the people they wrestle better than they are. So that's what I'm hoping for in this match.
I'm not. I'll agree to disagree. I'll agree to disagree on that one.
I know.
I'll agree to disagree with you on that.
But I do think that we might get a better appearance from Naito in this match than in other ones that we've seen lately. And yes, the Bucks are not Hanma. I get it, but my point stands.
Yeah. Okay. Next match.
They haven't been anywhere for a lot longer than that, War Hero.
War Hero mentioning Nick and Matt haven't been anywhere for a month now. Yeah, it's a
lot longer than that. What you got next?
Hey, there it is. Yota Tsuji against Gabe Kidd for the global title. So it may be a fantastic match, but I do feel again that we're looking at a title retention here. But it's another one that there's enough seeded out. If Gabe Kidd weren't the strong champion, I would question this a little bit more. But since he already has a title and has irons in that fire, I feel like Tsuji's going to win this thing. Again, I'm a little bit puzzled why either one of these guys are losing on this card, coming off the momentum they have from Wrestle Kingdom and Dynasty. But I'm not going to dwell on that too much. It'll be a terrific match. Whoever loses it won't be hurt too much by losing to the other because both guys are pretty hot right now. And but this is one that we could see main eventing very big shows for the next 4 years.
Yeah, absolutely. There is a sense that Yota shouldn't be losing because he just won the title and he hasn't had a title defense yet besides the Jack Perry thing, which we all just kind of look past. And then with Gabe Kidd, there's almost a sense that he's Teflon. As long as he has a good match, it doesn't matter whether he wins or loses right now. And eventually his time is going to come where he is going to be in the spotlight and he won't be losing. But I don't think we're there yet. I think we're kind of in that, like, it's cool to like Gabe Kidd as long as he's like doing Gabe Kidd things. And if he's like in the match and he's with a cool guy in the ring, I think that's all people really want right now. Like they need the story, but they just want the intensity. They want the Gabe Kidd experience in a match. And getting us to that scenario is more important than the result in a lot of ways.
That brings us to our main event. Zack Sabre Jr. defending the World Heavyweight title against Hirooki Goto. Can Goto finally win the big one? There is only one story to tell here, is that this man has been the bridesmaid, not the bride, over and over again. He's come within a whisker over and over again and never quite done it. Is this the time? Jeremy, yes or no? Is Hirooki Goto winning the World Heavyweight title on Tuesday?
Yes.
Oh, you're going with yes. You're going with Samurai Dad. He's going to get the moment.
I look at the landscape and I look at the future and I look in the blueprint. And I've said this for a while. I think Zack Sabre Jr. has done everything that he needs to do as the IWGP champion. There are no more hills to climb. There are no more mountains to conquer at this point. He has made. Whoever he loses to, unless it's one of the young guys, like if he loses to the title to Shota Umino or Yota Tsuji or one of those guys, he should be holding on to the title for a very, very long time. But if he's not losing it, he needs to lose it to a guy who's then going to lose it to a guy who's going to win it to them. Like you either go the short route or you go the long way around.
Yeah.
And this is the long way around. He is the perfect. I know when you say a person is a transitional champion, that's meant with a derogatory or a slur or a dismissive tone.
Yeah, but it shouldn't be, should it?
Well, there are times where a transitional champion is exactly what you need. Is that you both make and reputationally enhance somebody, and at the same time you are able to pivot to a new starting block for whatever your IWGP story is going to be. Presumably, it's David Finlay coming for that title and then holding it hostage in a lot of ways. But, it's like, how do you get there? and Finlay challenging Goto as the winner of the New Japan Cup makes an immense amount of sense for me, setting up April and May and for the rest of the year. Do they do that? I don't know, but like there are many paths to take, but that is very clearly the simplest path, and there aren't a whole lot of shows in which we're going to pivot. Like, we can look at this entire card, right?
Mm-hmm.
Look at all the singles matches that are happening at the bottom. If who challenges, who comes out at the end of the show and challenges whoever is the winner.
Yeah, that is true.
It's a little dire because they're all title matches and all these. I don't know, but there's a feeling that I have that it's time, and Goto is the guy, and there's no other time to do it but now.
And looking at that, because it's a good point. Usually, not every time, but you will often get a challenge coming from someone winning a special singles match. We're loaded with special singles matches. The winner of Shingo and Drilla, that could be the one that comes out afterwards. Shota and Great Khan could be the person that comes out.
Shingo and Goto in a match. I would be there for that.
Yeah, Taichi and Sonata. I mean, we mentioned that
we've done Shingo and Zack, so we did it recently.
Yeah, could very well be. It seems like the challengers line up neatly in that area, and I've been on record. I think if David Finlay stays with New Japan, I think he's the champion in 2025 at some point. I think that's just where it's headed. So either one of those guys could deliver it to Finlay, though, because both of them are really baby faces. I mean, Zack's certainly not a heel. Goto is right now probably the most sentimental baby face in the whole company at the moment.
I think the scenario would be better if Zack were to come in and say, I was champion, I want a shot at you, like, to get this, and then there's just some kind of fuckery that causes Zack to just, like, not win that match. But I don't like the idea of Finlay beating Zack for the title, but I like the idea of Finlay successfully defending against Zack if he had the title.
And so what we'll have there is just one of those situations where Zack, you said, is a made man, and I think you're right. They can put him back in the title picture at any time. He can regain this thing if they need him to. If there's some either a storyline reason or an injury that pops up, this guy has the equity. He is a world title level guy.
Reserve main eventer at any given point.
So mission accomplished, right? You could do the switch here. You could also leave it on him. You absolutely could. And and just have that be Goto's story. Colin thinks that he says Goto is not beating ZSJ. Come on. And
the perfect guy to beat him.
War Hero chooses chaos. He just said Goto turns heel to win to usher in a new era of chaos. So
there are a lot of top guys or guys that you're trying to make in New Japan right now. This is a lot like, and I'm gonna invoke Jey Uso, where it's like there's so much talent at the top that when you bring a guy in that's not quite at the top and you introduce him, he's almost like the equalizer among all the main event talent, in which they can all vie for that title and try and take it off of him and then reset the whole level playing field. And at the same time, you're elevating that guy so he's now on the level with them in the perception of the fan service. There is a lot of goodwill that has happened for Goto as a result of just being in this main event position. Like, the perception and the shift of people who are paying attention to New Japan, there is something very real behind it right now. And I do not want to dismiss it.
They've done an excellent job, because this really could go either way. This is another match here where it's honest to goodness toss up, and you could talk yourself into Zack retaining, you could talk yourself into Goto winning, and there are good options either way afterwards. So once again, I just feel like New Japan is on a strong path. Whatever happens on Tuesday, I think there's good stuff coming up, and I think that we may not know what it is off the top of our heads right here, but I do think that New Japan has a long-term vision and a direction.
I think so too.
Just a massive improvement from 365 days ago when I think they were scrambling.
Yeah, I think we're on a good road this year for New Japan. I think everything could be great. I also want to congratulate you, Steven. We have done 150 episodes of this fucking show.
150 of these things. 150 of them. Pretty cool.
And so small little hey, ho, ho. this podcast is ready to go every week. So good job by us. Anything else that you got for us today? We could maybe end a few minutes early. And
we could, but we had some Phantasmo Mania news.
That's great. That's great.
I want to bring that up there. Yeah. So we have some MLW talent, some various things there. So tell us about
it. We have 2 nights of Phantasmo Mania that are going to air on New Japan World this year. They are going to be on the 27th and 28th of February. We have a few matches that we're going to be seeing on here, including the MLW World Tag Team Championship of Templario and Volador Jr. versus Satoshi Kojima and Okamura. Sorry.
Okamura.
Get that wrong.
Omakase. Omakase is when you ask the chef to go ahead and make, it's like whatever
that omelet, that egg omelet. I saw a video on it and it's just been in my head ever since. My wife sent me this video of this dude that went to Japan to go learn to do the omakase to that world-renowned chef, and they ended up becoming besties. And I'm just the word has been in my head ever since. And I got
Okamura and
Okamura. We also have an MLW World Middleweight Championship of Dorado versus Soberano. And then we got Volador versus Templario again in a singles match. So there's a full week of CMLL shows in Japan, but we are only getting 2 of them.
Yeah.
And I have tremendously enjoyed the CMLL shows, the more and more that I watch them every year.
Oh, yeah.
And so we'll get 2 shows, and we'll pack that in the week before the anniversary show and the New Japan Cup preview.
The other good news for me, I noticed Ninja Mac coming in for Phantasmo Mania, and I think it's terrific to see him on some of these cards too. I'm a big fan of his work after seeing him previously. It wasn't just last year. Oh yeah, that's very true, and that's always great. But I think the guy's terrific. I would love to see him more in New Japan, and now I get to. He'll be back for Phantasmo Mania.
Yeah, it's gonna be you could be with Hechicero, and they're gonna be in a tag against El Desperado and Cavernario Barbero.
Yep, and as a USVA guy mentions too, for WrestleMania weekend, Stardom is on the way. So some Bushy Road action there. A lot of women's wrestling, Jeremy. I don't know if you saw, several companies. I think Diana's even coming right there. A couple that I didn't expect. A couple of the smaller ones coming in.
Are you going to Vegas?
No, I'm not going to Vegas this year. It looks like, but Marty Gold will be there. Stardom will be there. It should be very interesting to have all those folks going around Las Vegas at the same time. Should be interesting.
I have booked a hotel room for Vegas last year, but I am on the fence whether I'm going to go or not. I have not done anything. This show has been a very positive anchor in my life the past year, but it's been a rough year. And I'm definitely going to try and make my trip out to Japan, but Vegas for Mania is up in the air as a result of just very, very wild times in my life.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'd imagine so. But it's going to be an interesting thing where, again, similar to Wrestle Kingdom weekend in Japan, or a lot of various promotions that have nothing to do with WWE showing up in Sin City to have some
maybe not Super Card of Honor from Ring of Honor this year.
Yeah, Marvelous. That's the other one I was trying to think of, USVA guy. Thank you. Marvelous also coming in from Japan to do shows. And Colin mentions there are only 2 nights of Phantasmo Mania this year, just 2 so far on NJPW World.
Yeah, they're only airing 2 nights on World at this point.
Yeah, the rest of it will be house shows. So,
and it will be English to follow on demand, just like most years in the past. Yeah. So it's not going to be anything other than you're going to listen to the air horn, and you're listening to the Japanese commentary, and you're going to figure it out.
So we know we're getting Kamae Itachi, so that's Hiromu, his old gimmick, and Desperado is on the show as Desperado. Remember, a few years ago, Desperado would do this thing where he says, "I hate luchadors so much I won't even be in the same room with them," and then suddenly Namahage would show up, which was his old Lucha Libre gimmick from Excursion. And it was always kind of winked and nudged that it was Desperado under there that as Namahage, but now he's just going into Phantasmo Mania once again as
he might be Namahage, but they're booking him as Desperado, so you know that he's there.
I mean, really, for ticket sales, it's probably best to say El Desperado is going to be here. Yeah, that's very true. Yeah. All right. Anything else from you, Jeremy, before we wrap this one up?
We'll see you Tuesday.
Tuesday, yeah. Don't forget about that. And I want to thank War Hero for being here, Colin for being here, USVA guy for being here and interacting. Again, USVA guy, thanks for helping me out with some of that information on the tickets situation at Korakuen Hall. I've been curious for a long time.
Rainy and wet here, and my dog is dying to get fed. It's
all right.
Really coming together well for me over here, Stephen.
All right, so we'll sign off on that. Once again, thanks to everyone who listened to it as a podcast, watched us here live, or caught up with us here on video. We really appreciate your time. As always, we'll be back Tuesday, and we will be checking out that new beginning in Osaka show. So for Jeremy Finestone, I'm Stephen Conway. This has been Speaking of Strong Style, and we will talk to you again real soon.